Well, thanks for coming out, everybody. I know there's lots of other things on the go this evening, namely the Trappers Cup up in that city. So I appreciate everybody foregoing the Trappers Cup and coming down here to check this out. And plus, I'm not playing the Trappers Cup this year, so it's not nearly as good as it would have been last year. You wouldn't get to laugh at me falling down the ice and that kind of stuff. Next year, maybe. But tonight we have our second to last in the Labrador Institute speaker series for this year. We'll be stopping next month for the summer, and the Labrador Education Center will have their over the summer, so we don't want to conflict with them. And so tonight's our third one for this year. Oh, just 1 second, I'm going to turn down the volume on the laptop because I can hear everybody. You can hear yourselves. There we go. But anyway, tonight we have Ian Robinson. Eden grew up in Hyslop, British Columbia. Her first book, Trap Lines, was a collection of short stories and won the Real Prize. Is that correct? Yeah. Well, you gave me this. It was a New York Times notable book of the year in 1998. Monkey Beach, her first novel, was shortlisted for the Giller Prize and the Governor General's Literary Award for Fiction in 2000. One of the BC Book Prizes, Ethel Wilson Fiction Prize. And tonight you're reading from an unpublished called Son of a Trickster? Yes. Perfect. Thank you for coming, and Ian Robinson.
Thank you for the introduction.
One thing I forgot that I have to do as part of my job. I want to thank Ian as part of the Labrador Institute Speaker Series, but as part of the Northwest River Artists in Residence program that's run through the Grenfell campus of Memorial University. We also have Jeff Butler here as part of that program as well. Jeff will be here until mid-May. So Jeff is hosting open studio here every Wednesday from 2 to 4 in the afternoon and 7 to 8 in the evening. So feel free to stop in and talk to Jeff. He's got some of his paintings laid out over there. He might be willing to talk to you about those tonight, but if not, you can come back on Wednesday and he'll talk to you then. Jeff also does a bit of writing and plays music as well. So if anybody wants to come with a guitar or anything like that, that's a possibility as well. And the other thing about tonight's presentation is that we actually, it's co-sponsored as well by the Newfoundland Labrador Writers Alliance, as well as the Memorial University Scholarship in the Arts, which is was the Newfoundland Labrador Writers Alliance in Grenfell applying their extra money. You can come up here for a few weeks or for a few days, and after here you're on your way to Corner Brook and then off to St. John's. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. Well, those of you, I'm Jessica. My dad's Hyslop, my mom's Celtic. The Hyslop are 500 miles north of Vancouver, and the Celtic are 260 miles north of Vancouver. They met because Dad was an embarrassing bachelor. He was 33 and unmarried. And my grandmother decided to arrange marriage for him. So while she was sussing out the candidates, he decided it would be a good time to go on a fishing trip. In that fishing trip, he saw Labrador. And when he was coming up the gangplank, my grand's house was oh my god, okay, I forgot what they're called. Houses on Water, houseboat. It was a houseboat, and she was looking at the front picture window. She saw Dad coming up the gangplank and said, "That's the man I'm going to marry." And Mom disputes this. She says, she wondered where he shirt. She said, "That's the man I'm going to marry." There was an illegal jukebox joint in Bella Bella, and all the teens would go there for sodas and dancing. So they met up in the jukebox joint, and all the girls wanted to dance with Dad, and he'd only dance with Mom. So when they had an old iron left over from the World War II naval base, and they would sound it every night at 10 to let everyone know that the diesel generator was going off and you should get home pretty quick. So her house was on the other side of the village, so Dad walked her home, and they all danced in the dark and stuff. So 6 months later, they got married, and he hadn't told his mother any of this. So he got home with a new bride, and my aunties were very dismayed that she was 12 years younger than my father. And they expressed this very forcefully to my dad, and my mother gave them a piece of her mind. So to attend any of the potlucks, you have to have a high slot feast name. So they gave her the feast name Sea Monster Turning the Other Way. And if I throw a feast, I can inherit. I got a baby feast name, which means big lady. I liked my sister's feast name. It was Sent Back Chief Lady. The big, long Wagnerian story behind it. It's very romantic and just lovely. But I've been working on 2 different novels, a couple of essays, and some stuff for the community. So this novel is the first one I completed. What I've been working on the longest is now a brick, and it's still in rough form. That one is my trashy band council romance. And the 2 main characters, the first is the environmental manager, who worked in Ottawa, became disillusioned with the politics, decided to move home to help his community, and his wife immediately divorced him because she didn't want to leave Ottawa. And she started dating a guy from the Ottawa Senators, one of their farm teams, and his children are absolutely, love hockey. So they hero worship her new boyfriend and have been ignoring him. So he moved back to get him out of and he's been holding a torch for the community relations manager, who's married to the coup, the chief operating officer, whose brother is the chief counselor. The community relations manager, her husband, very handsome. He was the MVP on the at the Oneida basketball tournament for many, many years, and he's been cheating on her quite a bit. And she knows because they're from a small community, and everyone talks, and they tell her every time he starts to see someone new. So the trashy band council romance starts in the Haslett Band Council, in the photocopy room. And I discovered that I'm not very good at erotica, but I am very good at writing angry, awkward sex. I'm very disappointed with their life when they come together in the Haslett Band Council's photocopy room, and you can tell how angry they are because it's open plan, and the photocopy room is right in the middle. It's closed, but you can still. There's cameras. So that book is expanded to their from their immediate families to their extended families, and it covers the period when the LNG was first starting up and then Enbridge came in. So it all got huge and complicated, and I have no idea what to do with it. So I decided to put it away and started writing Son of a Trickster, which is set in modern day Vancouver. And the trickster in this is Weegit, who is the transforming raven. And my dad and my aunties and my uncles used to tell trickster stories after supper with cigarettes and coffee. And if any of you have read Bloodsport, and it seems really angry and violent, that was my quit smoking book. The first 100 pages are what was left over from the part of the manuscript I wrote. I was still smoking. So it's a little grim, but, you know, kind of happy. Then I quit smoking, so around page 107, there's a 40-page torture scene that none of my family have been able to make it through. Well, I don't know why I find that funny, but Son of a Trickster, it was originally supposed to be a short story. Then it expanded into a novella, and then it became a novel, and I split it in half to make it a novel. It just went to the editor, and I've been trying it out on audiences just to get some feedback, like what parts are making sense and what parts aren't. So the main character here is Jared. He's been living in Kitimat, and this is the part of the novel where he moves to Vancouver. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Sometimes when I'm reading, I tend to go to so just wait a minute. Near noon, with the sun boiling in the center of the sky, the Greyhound bus circled around behind the Vancouver terminal, then sighed into its bay. Jared scanned the people for a familiar face, pausing at the short-haired woman holding a bunch of bobbing helium balloons. She was tanned a deep brown. She wore a bright blue dress and shiny brown heels. Her neck dripped with turquoise beads. She stood on her tiptoes as the door opened. That can't be Aunt Mavis, Jared thought. The line edged forward as people pulled their luggage down and trudged out. A slug of hot, humid air crawled into the bus. The woman scanned the bus, then the door, bus, door. Jared craned his neck to see if anyone else was waiting. "Jared!" she shouted as he came down the steps. "Jared, over here!" "Aunt Mavis?" She clutched him. The balloons formed a wobbly cloud over their heads as she burst into tears, saying his name over and over. Strangers smirked as they walked past or gave them a wide berth. The driver started unloading his luggage. She grabbed the sides of his head and stared at him, her forehead bumping his baseball cap. "I knew you the second I saw you," she said. "I'd have known you anywhere. Did you know it was me?" Yeah, Jared said. She looked up and then loosened the knot of ribbons. "Give me your rest. There's my duffel. I've got one balloon for each birthday I missed." She started crying and not wanting to make a bigger scene. He let her slip the ribbons around his hand, feeling a furious blush start. The driver paused as he was unloading to stare at Jared's balloons. He grinned. Jared grabbed his duffel and slung it over his free arm. Aunt Maeve linked her arm in his. "Are you hungry?" No thanks. I mean, I'm a bit tired. "It's a long ride, isn't it? Do you want to get some groceries or go straight home?" Home. "I can drive you up to BCIT tomorrow if you'd like to look around before your classes start." "You don't have to." "Don't you want to get orientated or do you want to sleep in?" The balloons banged around the door frame as they entered the station. I'm just tired right now," she laughed. "I'm sorry. I'm just excited. Beginnings are all about possibilities, aren't they?" "Yeah," he said, although in his experience, things that started good usually ended when he let home stuff slip. Then there was an uncomfortable silence and vacance about, "You might be more comfortable elsewhere," or "I think being your friend is a parole violation." In the parking lot, she popped the trunk of a cherry red Volkswagen Beetle with black polka dots and two black glittery wings on the roof. The headlights had black pupils painted on them and were surrounded by long black lashes. "Okay," Jared said. "I wanted an orca or a Darth Vader helmet," Maeve said, popping the trunk, but Justice was all hormonal. "Ha," Jared said, half listening, trying to figure out how he was going to get his duffel into the trunk. He just crammed banker boxes, stacks of books, grocery bags, dry cleaning, and a hamster cage. "Maybe we should put this in the back seat. It'll fit." She grabbed it, smooshing it over the groceries. They stood around with the car doors opening, waiting to let the interior cool down, then stuffed the balloons in the back seat. He tied them to his backpack. Aunt Mavis smiled at him. Jared tried to smile back, and then felt stupid, and then felt bad about feeling stupid. He wished she'd stop staring at him. He sat and pulled the door closed, drew his seatbelt down, relieved to be looking at something other than his aunt, who slid into the driver's seat. She opened the window. She turned to him, putting a hand on his arm. I bundled it with my cell service and internet. Yeah. Okay. She rummaged around her purse. So if you want to phone anyone anytime you can. I'm good. Her cell phone was in the bright red case. She waggled it. I bet your mom wants to know you're safe. That's okay. Aren't you going to phone her? Because if she's waiting to hear from you and she doesn't, she might freak. She won't freak. I'd freak. Jared tried to think of an answer that wouldn't see him sleeping on a park bench. Is she still mad? Maeve said. Jared shrugged. She's still mad at me, Jared said. That was 17 years ago. I'll text her, Jared said. She couldn't blame him, could she? She had to blame us. It's never his fault, the conniving bugger. Has he turned up yet? Who? Your father. Yeah, he was at the A&W in Terrace to say goodbye. Liga was in the A&W in Terrace? No, Dad's name is Phil. Not Phil. Your real dad, Liga, the sperm donor, not the Phil. I think you're mixing my dad up with someone else. My dad is Liga, Maeve said, the trickster, the transforming raven. He knocked up your mom because he knew she couldn't keep a secret that saved her life. Jared realized then that Aunt Mavis wasn't messing around. She was, in fact, bats in the belfry crazy. He smiled and nodded, relaxing, like he just slipped out of church clothes and back into a stained, saggy pair of sweatpants. Just a little later, they turned left on a yellow light, which flipped red halfway through the intersection. Jared lost what his aunt was saying, seeing in slow motion the oncoming black truck. It honked. Maeve barely waved and sped up, honking and turned at the car ahead of her. Light reflected off the buildings, and despite the open windows, Jared could feel the sweat drip down his armpits and his back, could feel the grunge of the unwashed denim of his jeans. The balloons bubbled in the backseat like excited kids. Diagnostic medical sonography. Maeve said the words slowly, as if they had a taste she wasn't quite sure she liked. So you're upgrading to get into this technical program. That sounds... Is it your passion? What? Jared loosened his death grip on the seatbelt in the door. Is it your dream? I don't understand. You're going to be spending a lot of your days looking at people's innards. Sick, grumpy people. It better be something you love. We'll pay the bills. I'm just saying, before you commit a whole bunch of time and energy to something that isn't going to make you happy, maybe you should have a little rethink, Jellybean. He thought that nickname had died with his parents' marriage. Maybe a park bench wouldn't be so bad. What does your mom think? Maeve said. She's, Mom. I'm just saying you have your whole life ahead of you. No judgment, just love and concern. Jared wanted out of the love bug. All he wanted to do was sleep. I was going to make us something, but it's too hot, Aunt Maeve said. Let's do a drive-thru. What do you feel like having? Burgers, wraps, fried chicken? I'm okay. I'm blood sugar so low. I think I'm a road hazard. This will just take a sec. Is this a legal turn? Oh, it's Vancouver, she said, thumping over a concrete dividing curb. The love bug's undercarriage groaned like a dying foghorn. They change the rules all the time. We follow them. God, I hope you have a decent skin plate. Jared, relax. Maeve cut off a banged up older model Toyota Corolla as she pulled into the drive-thru lane. The Corolla honked. Jared poked his head out the window to see if they'd left anything behind. The curb was crossed with layers of smears, but none of them looked shiny and new, which was hopeful. You might want to check your universal joints and your oil pan. What a little worrywart you are. Bugs aren't built to 4x4, Aunt Maeve. Oh, you should see the potholes we've survived. She rummaged through her purse and pulled out a wallet. You have a chance to make your life what you want it to be. Open your mind to possibilities. Can you drop this? I'll drop the school talk and you drop the snarky remarks about my driving. Fine, Jared said. She rolled down her window and studied the menu board as if it held a secret treasure map. Jared willed himself to unclench. Welcome to Tim Hortons, a young woman's voice droned over the intercom. How can I help you? I don't think you understand your potential, Maeve said. I didn't catch that, ma'am. Are you ordering poutine? Potential! Maeve yelled into the intercom. The possibility contained within your abilities before full realization. Good, because we don't make poutine here. How did you decide what you wanted to do with your life, if you don't mind me asking? A car honked in the line of cars growing behind them. A man yelled, "Order already!" Jared peered in the side mirror. The yelling man in the black SUV was sunburned. He laid on his horn again. Jared sighed. Dressed his wife to finally make it to Vancouver and get shot within an hour of arriving because he was between some horn honker and his camping fix. I hated retail, the woman was saying. This was close to my apartment and I don't have to do the night shift. It's kind of boring, but I like being home when my kids are home. Order coffee like a normal person. He's gonna shoot us if you don't order soon. Some people, Andrew said, dismissing. Amen, the woman said. I miss real winter. I'd move home if there were any jobs there. Where's home? Just a sec, honey. Aw, what the hell is wrong with you? Aw, another voice chimed in. Some of us have lives, you know. The intercom crackled. Okay. My manager is going to give you a free coffee if you get out of line. What a sweetie. Do you want anything, Kelly? No, nothing. I'm good. Don't worry. I'm paying. We should move. Are you too shy to ask for what you want? You sound shy, the woman said. Honk, honk, honk. A grilled cheese panini, Jared said. Okay, can we go? Oh, that sounds good. I'll have one of those. My boy loves it with ham. That sounds better, Maeve said. One regular and one with ham and multigrain. Jared decided he'd stay with Aunt Maeve until his friend Death Rat texted him back. Hopefully, Death was back dealing wheelchair weed. Jared checks out some of the youth shelters just to be on the safe side. His ex-girlfriend Sarah feeds him for the apocalypse. Thanks, Jared said, for the food. I worry too, Maeve said. Jared sighed. They pulled up to the takeout window, and a pale blonde woman with black rings of eyeliner leaned over and smiled at them. Sorry if I got you in trouble, Maeve said. Not a problem. He's a regular. His wife left him for his business partner. He's pretty pleased with the world. Hey, add his order to my bill, okay? Tell him I understand heartache. We've all been there, honey. They laughed. While they chatted, Jared checked out the mirror, and the line of the car seemed happier that they were at least moving. The blonde woman handed Maeve a takeout bag. They turned back on to commercial. If you could be anything, absolutely anything, what would you be? Maeve said. Jared wanted to bang his head against the dashboard. She wasn't going to let it go. She was just like his mom. Fine. I've always dreamed of being an ultrasound guy. It's possibly the most awesome job in the world. Really? Yes, it's like being Batman. I don't think you're being entirely sincere, Mr. Snarky. At least she was off the daily thing. People come in, something's wrong, they don't know what, they want answers. Help them get answers. You want to help people? Yes. Not just saying that to get me off your back. No. Actually, he read an article about the hottest jobs, then picked the one that didn't sound like it would take 20 years of post-secondary or apprenticeships. He'd gone to the guidance counselor, sunburned, the scraggly shoulder-length hair, who wore Hawaiian shirts under his blazer. Jar Jar, the dude had said, just take care of the equipment. I could get you into the next session and you'd be set. Not my thing, Jared had said. He typed something into his laptop and squinted at the results. Yeah, Canucks or Oilers, man. What? Your choices for local schools to teach medical sonography. British Columbia Institute of Technology in Vancouver, or the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology in Edmonton, which looks like it mostly teaches ultrasound for pregos. What about funding? Are you status? And player red card, lots of people on the list. Not a lot of money. Dude shrugged. Thing is, you'll probably pass and graduate, but it's ugly. You need to get your bio grades up. Your physics, talk about speakers. Not a lot of spots on these programs, but lots of people wanting to get in. What if I upgraded? Got my grades up. See, you totally get funded for heavy equipment and bam! You get hired the second you graduate. Good luck, man. Ka-ching. His dad had worked at Hurricane for 15 years, and that had been good money. The pulp and paper mill was closing for months before, but it didn't make it any easier for the 535 people laid off. His dad had sat at the dinner table drinking beer after beer, staring at his walking papers. Jared could still feel the unease of those first weeks with his dad pulled up in his bedroom, and the city flowed peoples emptying their street. Companies need you until they don't, he thought, but people never stop breaking down. Thank you. And because it's a nice, intimate group, do you want to do like a few minutes for questions and then just break into chatting? Or if you...
Oh, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is anyone curious about anything? Lots of really crazy stuff. Then he meets a whole bunch of cousins he never knew he had. And yeah, and then eventually he meets some creatures that are not as friendly to tricksters, or they're really different spawn. I broke this book in half because it was becoming really, really. I hadn't even gotten to the end, and it was still going. So, okay, well, it wants to be a much longer book, or I could break it into chunks. So I broke it into chunks. And, some of the things I showed it to an editor, and the process of getting a book from rough draft to publication. Publishing normally works a lot slower, so I'm not used to. The last time I edited a book, we were still dealing with Canada Post. So there was these long, lovely breaks between edits, and now it's all email. So, 2 weeks later, she's like, okay, well, what do you think about this, this, and this? And so it's a very different process. I'm sure I answered your question. Yeah, okay.
Pretty open-ended. Really answer question.
Is that the beginning of the book?
No, not anymore. It was the beginning. Now it's more in the middle.
And is it sequential, or, I mean?
Now it's going to be sequential.
Okay.
I started here and then hopped back a lot to his high school.
Yeah.
So we pulled all that out and then put it at the beginning just to see what would happen. So now the beginning is very different. I was stuck on this opening because that's where I started writing. But it's a very traditional story. So we're going to structure it traditionally and just have a lot less time. Which means a lot of parts are going to come out and you get reorganized. So, yeah, so my summer is full.
You started smoking?
I quit June 1st, 2004. They were talking oxygen tanks, getting to emphysema. It wasn't doing as many, but I was doing, 2, 3, 4 packs a day. It wasn't really that much.
You stayed quick.
I was a light smoker.
You didn't get out.
I haven't made it to the unfiltered yet. Well, I started with flares, and then after my first lung infection, switched over to menthols. Yeah, when I was young, my whole family smoked. It was just, and then, let's see, I don't think anyone really smokes anymore. It's very... Well, it took me about 17 times to quit. And the worst place to quit smoking is Greece. Yeah, the bank tellers were smoking, the nurses were smoking, the waitresses were smoking. The only place you couldn't smoke was on the tarmac. So people smoked like very heavily in the waiting room, and then put them out when they went to the plane.
Who's all in one hand?
Yeah. So when I went on that trip, my plan had been new place, new habit. So I quit a week before, and I got to Greece and discovered that it was the land of temptation. So I think I lasted 3 days, and yeah, I tried everything. It was the patch, the gum, Zyban, hypnosis, acupuncture, laser something, yeah, cognitive behavior, whatever. The only thing, the 17th, I was sheer vanity. It's really hard to flirt when you have an oxygen tank. Yay! Vanity, man. The best inducer. So that was June 1st, 2004. If I even have a topic.
So what do you do for your anger thing now?
No, we the weightlifting, I started with Joanne Miller, but I would say the district's on strike, so the River Lodge is part of the district workers. And, I don't cross the picket line, so yeah. So in my head, my plan was that I would work out on my own. Oh, but apparently I need peer pressure. So hopefully the strike ends soon and it's resolved. Because I think I'll really need editing. So if there aren't any more. Yes.
So you're not finished?
I finished the rough draft and the first draft. My editors.
Like 2 books.
The other book is only a rough draft, which means some writers are very organized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people.
I guess what I want to know is, you realized it was bigger than you originally thought.
Much
They grew it
bigger.
from a short story into like 2 novels at least.
This one,
Do you know where it's going?
yes,
So you,
yes. And I knew that I was barely halfway through and it was still going.
Okay.
So I tried to find a spot to break it that would make sense. And my editor and my agent said, no, that's not the spot. Here's the spot. So the trashy bank council romance is in the rough stage. So that means to go from the rough draft to the first draft, I take apart the structure and then put it back together in a way that's joining all the little bits and trying to make them make sense. Because the right info comes out, I just let it just go. And which is a fantastic way of writing creatively, but a horrible way of organizing.
Doesn't matter, front load or back load
Yeah.
is still the same.
Yeah, so no matter how you organize it, you still have to do the work. So for me, the first draft is where the structural work kicks in, and the rough draft is where the creative part kicks in. I actually find the rough draft scarier now that I'm more experienced, because that's when you don't have any of your ideas down. You don't really know what's going to happen. You're cooking, but you don't have all your ingredients. So yeah, it all comes out different. It's not what you expected. The first draft, once it gets to a first draft, then I show it to about 10 people. Half of them are writers, and half of them are creative and technical and cultural consultants. For instance, I know nothing about tools. For some reason, my character needed a lot of power tools, a lot of engine-y things. So I had someone going through that. Some of the Trickster has, I've branched out into different nations. So I have some Namagus characters, some Lilithany characters, Haida character, and then the next part of the Son of a Trickster is Trickster Drift. And my most controversial character in that book is my vegan Cree. He's an extreme sports guy who's invented pemmican. Vegan pemmican. It's a proprietary blend of fermented mushrooms, berries, and fair trade virgin coconut oil. So he was one of Aunt Mavis's love interests, and they broke up because they had a huge disagreement about traditional hunting. She was pro-traditional hunting, and obviously he was not. So he's so I've been trying to ask around if there are any vegan trees, and haven't found even one yet. So, so I might have to make him a vegan hideout. Because in my dad's community, we were vegetarian, but we had a vegan. And when I lived in Vancouver, I was roommates with 2 vegans and a fruitarian. And they were all deeply involved in animal liberation. And then after that, I was roommates with a very traditional Cree woman who was, making this apart on the kitchen table. So I like the mix and the ebb and the flow. And I was trying to put that in fiction. But the trashy band council romance, because it takes place specifically in Tuna Village, my father's community. It's a real place. The highest Nation Band Council it's a real organization. I like to be very upfront about what I'm doing and what I'm writing. So I've gone around talking to people in the community, saying, "This is what I'm writing. This is the trashy band council romance. These are the characters," just like I explained to you all. And I was expecting a lot of backlash and a lot of, but people, now my cousins who work there, give me weekly updates.
Gonna put this in your book.
On the political dynamics of the High Nation Band Council. So really there's just too much information. there's, their story, the mayor of Kitimat, the town, which is 11 kilometers away, wanted me to add a municipal tragedy. Municipal romance. So I went to a couple of their meetings, and I really, there's just too much backstory. I can't squeeze that in. The book is big enough as it is. So it might have to be like a web story. As I've toured around, people have added like the ancient band council. Because I don't know if you're familiar with potlatch cultures. Both my dad and my mom are from potlatch cultures, and at the apex of our political structure, the chiefs, which looks like they should be in charge of everything, but from what I witnessed, if the matriarchs don't like a chief, they will band together and take him down. It's bloody, messy, and brutal. All that was playing into the book. So you had the traditional chiefs, the band council, and then it's like, okay, we'll let it sit for a while longer because it's still.
You mentioned your cameras in the room. How thin are the walls?
Oh, which cameras?
Oh, the cameras in the Xerox room.
Oh!
How thin are the
Well, the
walls?
windows are just like this.
Oh, okay.
In the photocopy room, it's a little narrower, and the photocopy room is in the middle. It's open space like this, so like all the photocopiers are in a kind of circle.
Do they get the brown paper? Xerox.
And you've got like offices lining both sides, but they were built during, there was a lot of conflict at that time, so they kept everything very open so you could see what was going on. But now it's a little weird. So people put posters up all over the windows to try to give themselves more privacy. But if you were going to have an affair, you would not want to have it there. Unless you had their particular dynamics. But the people who actually are in those positions, they've been giving me policy manuals and like the job descriptions and telling me like how it all works with INAC and how it shifted after the omnibus budget bills and exactly what they're doing in the policy meetings, and it's like, it's not. I think there's only so much you can do. But if you don't understand that part, then you won't understand the dynamics of the office politics. I think again we can have the main novel, and then in the ebook we can have like the little subplots that are going on about what's happening. Like, this week. It really, the band counselors. What do you think? Oh yeah, no, it gets nuts. So I get a lot of information. Dad was a little worried because I told him when I was writing, Comox is nice. He likes oysters. He really likes fresh oysters. I took him and Mom on a tour of Vancouver Island with me, and we got to Fanny Day for his birthday. So in the hotel room, we boiled oysters for breakfast. And then we went to the Fanny restaurant and had the oyster buffet for lunch. Then we had a mixture of fresh and sort of like chefy oysters for supper. At the end of that tour, Mom couldn't look at oysters ever. But I actually got to like them. So. He likes oysters, and she likes herring eggs. Herring eggs. Yeah, that's what his eggs. Well, they're spawning in Belladonna right now, so Mom took the camera down. She brought her religions this tree. Very excited. Like, yeah. You're 70. It's a 16-hour ferry ride. Okay, you're gonna go. Yeah. Very, very, very determined person. Herring eggs and seaweed. Do you guys eat seaweed up? You don't have seaweed?
We don't have seaweed this far.
Oh, yeah, we don't have seaweed in Kitimat. Oysters will grow up in Kitimat, but they won't spawn. Seaweed. We do get herring, but not really this time. And I could talk about fish forever, but we should probably break into. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, there's
Thanks.
TV or if you'd like to ask questions in private or just chat.
Did you bring